Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Russ is off tonight. MSU Billings looking to make major changes in hopes for a stronger future. New information tonight that administrators and faculty will consider phasing out 37 academic programs, but no plans to eliminate teachers. Now, the plan is designed to meet market demands and student needs. Q2's David J. joins us now with more details on some of what the school looks to eliminate. David.
Well, Jeanelle, MSUB started this process in November, and the list of 37 is just the first phase. That list from the MSUB Strategic Program Alignment Committee shows 14 programs with 0 students. Some of those include Associate of Applied Science degrees for Medical Administrative Assistant and Power Plant Technology. 13 programs have 1 or 2 students, and some programs have more students, 17 in the pre-professional engineering and 8 in biology and environmental science. And school officials tell us the plans will not eliminate, once again, faculty. And phase 3 will look at adding programs based on demand. And a link for a list of potential program cuts is with this story at ktvq.com. Jeanelle?
All right. Thanks so much, David. The bill to continue Montana's Medicaid expansion program hit a roadblock today in the state Senate, and supporters may not have much time to repair the damage and get it back on track. MTN's Mike Dennison was there and explains what happened and what could be next.
A close vote was expected Thursday in the Senate on the bill reauthorizing Medicaid expansion, which provides government-funded health care for 96,000 low-income adults in Montana. And it didn't disappoint in that regard. It went down on a 25-25 tie, with all 25 no votes coming from Republicans. GOP opponents, including Senate President Scott Sales of Bozeman, said it's time to say no to programs that are bankrupting the country.
We talk a lot about future generations and investments in future generations, and this is going to be good for our kids, and this is going to be good for our grandkids. And I'm going to tell you what, this runaway spending that this bill promotes isn't good for those future generations. It's good for this generation. And to hell with the people that are going to pay the bill, which are my kids and my grandkids, and yours too.
Republican Senator Dee Brown, another opponent, spent more than 6 minutes reading off a list of payments to Montana hospitals for Medicaid expansion, $1.34 billion over the past 2 years.
I don't think that Medicaid expansion is about the health of Montanans. I think it's about the money going to hospitals.
Yet the bill isn't necessarily dead. Several Republicans who voted no have supported Medicaid expansion in the past. And earlier this week, some of them indicated they're withholding their vote until knowing whether an unrelated proposal will advance, the bill to help Northwestern Energy buy part of a coal strip power plant and transmission line. Supporters of the Medicaid bill have until Friday to ask the Senate to reconsider Thursday's vote, and said that's what they intend to do. They also said the state can't afford to say no to Medicaid expansion, for it's done more than its share of good in the state since beginning in 2016.
This is going to help people go back to work. It's going to make people healthy again. It's going to get them off their addictions and able to once again function in society.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. Now, Medicaid expansion is a $700 million a year program with 90% of that money coming from the federal government. Montana lawmakers today also killed a bill to build a new Montana Historical Society museum. Now, the bill would have raised the state lodging tax from 3% to 4% and direct that extra money toward the museum and to grants for local historical sites across the state. But the State House Taxation Committee deadlocked this morning and then voted to kill it. The State Historical Society has been trying for more than a decade to get the okay and funding for its proposed $48 million museum and heritage center in Helena. Well, last night we told you about an anonymous $2,500 donation to Helena Public Schools to help pay down delinquent meal accounts. Today we learned more about the current size of that deficit. Helena Public Schools Superintendent Tyler Ream says that total stands at around $98,000. Ream says some of that will be paid off by parents as they realize they're in the negative, and some will be paid by the district. He says what's most important is that the kids get the food they need.
It is an absolute requirement for their health and for their well-being and for their education. So it's something that we gladly do, and I think it's an important part of the day-to-day functions of a school district. On the other side, when we are bringing on a debt like $98,000, that comes out of the overall general pot of funding that we have.
Free and reduced meal plans are available at different Montana school districts. A Billings woman who stepped in to serve while others went to war is hoping to get honorary veteran status and be buried in the National Cemetery in Laurel. Last week, Montana Senator Steve Daines co-sponsored a bill to do just that. The Cadet Corps was a group of nurses who filled the labor gap left by nurses called overseas during World War II. Laura Koknatvig served in the Cadet Nurse Corps from 1943 to 1946 at the Bob Wilson Naval Hospital in San Diego, California. Now, currently, cadet nurses do not get benefits of being buried in a national cemetery. Now, this bill is looking to change that.
I knew I was going to be a nurse before I even started to school in the first place. That was always from the time I was born, I think. I made up my mind I was going to be a nurse. Well, it'd be a blessing to be able to be buried, so I know where I'll be buried anyway.
Similar bills have been introduced since 1996, most recently in 2017. All of those bills have not made it out of a committee. Well, turning to weather, Bob, we're certainly grateful for the clear skies because it is a much different story to the east of us.
Oh, yeah, it's very far east, but it's still affecting the weather in Montana. But let me show you what it looks like in the Dakotas tonight. Look at this. Oh, my goodness, you can hardly see. This is that blizzard we were telling you about, and as you can see, it is just nasty. Winds were blowing about 50 and 60 miles per hour. Interstate 90 was closed. This is the way it looked in Watertown, South Dakota, and yeah, it's just been very bad there, and it continues to get a little bit better, but still, most of the highways were closed in that area. Now, it's still pulling moisture down the mountains in just west of Billings, and this whole thing continues to wrap its way in towards much of the Dakotas tonight. And by the way, this storm has canceled 900 flights across from Chicago to Minneapolis and other places up in that area. And so as far as the snowfall is concerned, we still have blizzard warnings across most of South Dakota, now into eastern North Dakota and parts of western Minnesota. So it's going to be an interesting couple of more days. Still, the snow continues to fly in that area. Let's go back to Jeanelle.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. A Billings man now facing a felony robbery charge after holding up a local casino with a video game controller. 36-year-old Brandon Hodges is booked into the Yellowstone County Detention Facility for allegedly robbing the Lucky Lil's Casino on King Park Drive yesterday morning. Police say Hodges held up a bag with a gun-shaped object in it and demanded money. Hodges later admitted to police that he used a PlayStation controller to make it appear like he was armed. He also told detectives he committed the robbery because he was frustrated with casinos because he's been losing a lot of money at them. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange arrested and dragged to court today. The Ecuadorian embassy that harbored him for 7 years gave him the boot. Now, as CBS News' Ian Lee reports, Assange faces extradition to the U.S.
British police dragged WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, disheveled and shouting, out of the Ecuadorian embassy in London. He was arrested when Ecuador revoked his political asylum, ending his nearly 7-year stay at the embassy. An unsealed U.S. Justice Department indictment charged Assange with conspiring to hack a classified Pentagon computer with former U.S. intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning.
I think Julian Assange has to face justice here. The extradition ought to be pursued quickly and effectively.
He made an initial court appearance in London Thursday.
The judge blasted Assange, rejecting his excuse that he didn't get a fair hearing. He called him a narcissist who couldn't get beyond his own selfish interests.
The case against Assange stems from the release of a trove of secret American documents in 2010. His lawyer defended his right as a publisher.
This precedent means that any journalist can be extradited for prosecution in the United States for having published truthful information about the United States.
The U.S. set its sights again on Assange after WikiLeaks released thousands of emails allegedly stolen by Russian hackers from Democratic National Committee computers during the 2016 presidential campaign. Assange has not been charged in connection with that. President Trump had little to say about Assange's arrest.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. And I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange.
A far cry from the campaign trail in 2016.
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks. It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks.
If convicted, Assange could face up to 5 years behind bars on the single conspiracy charge. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Assange has vowed to fight extradition to the U.S. A hearing is scheduled for May 2nd. Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, schools across the nation trying to put a Band-Aid on school nurse shortages, and it's turning into a crisis. Plus, as tax season comes to a close, a special black bear hunting season rings its opening bell. Find out when. And later in sports, Scott chats with Browning's Dakota Lewis, one of the few Native Americans ever on your PBR tour.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger, Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire, and sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.